Very good morning and a warm welcome to one and all present over here, teachers. I hope you're able to hear me and see me clearly. Thank you so much for joining on another Super Sunday workshop. And this time we are getting into the 114th session on an important topic called as multiple intelligence theory. I think being in education industry and I've been, with a certain number of experience, even if you're the first time teacher for the first time, I'm pretty sure the school would have done an induction training program for the teachers and definitely touched on two important topics. One would be called as Bloom's taxonomy to create the lesson plans, and another is going to be completely at the side of multiple intelligence theory. If these two are not done, then the school is actually incomplete, or you are incomplete for that matter. So I would like to request everyone to have a detailed look into this particular area called as, multiple intelligence theory, and quite a fascinating topic. Most of us actually know about it, and interestingly, let me show you something. Okay, and I think you should be able to see it. Great. I'm going to share my screen and we're talking about it. Multiple intelligence theory has got two important aspects. One is going to be called as intelligence and the other one is called as the learning abilities. Both of them actually have a very thin line of difference, but contribute to the overall teaching learning process. While we know that our instruction to students is divided into multiple pedagogical styles, we have our own way of doing it. However, in our methodology of teaching to the students, there are times that the children might not really understand what we're speaking because they're different type of learners. Now, this is not mentioned by, some teacher out there or by me. It is mentioned by Dr. Howard Gardner, was working on different learning abilities of the children, especially the children who have, something called as brain damage. He has been witnessing a lot of patients or students with different styles of understanding things, and with that what was born called as multiple intelligence theory. Now, while we talk about multiple intelligence theory, there are some schools who have strictly adopted this, and they call the school as MI school, multiple intelligence school, where they cater to all the sort of intelligence. While this particular theory is fretted like anything, I would say it's celebrated like anything across various countries and schools across. What really matters is there are some theories that say that this might not be absolutely correct. There are some people say that you can't say like I have a category of certain type of learning ability. I mean, I can be anything, and all of them put together actually works together. And the determination of what kind of a learner you are is not a function of your brain synapses, but it's basically the teacher's ability. We'll understand all these things one by one. Let me quickly share my screen and talk about it. It's going to be quite an interesting topic today, teachers. A small one, but a deep one. I mean, the length is small, but the breadth is quite high. Multiple intelligence theory. Here we go. Session number 114. We remember something called as the learning attributes. There are three things that constitute to anybody's learning. The first one is called as the knowledge. The second is skills, and the third is attitude. Knowledge, skills, and attitude can be directly mapped to Benjamin Bloom's taxonomy of cognitive domain, psychomotor domain, and affective domain. We all know about it, right? But what's really interesting with respect to human intelligence is the ability of all of us to talk to ourselves, introspect what we have done in the past, and plan for the future. Now, that's an important ability which actually can be categorized under a very broad umbrella called as metacognition. This particular aspect of multiple intelligence falls under metacognition. Now we're going to talk about that in a detailed manner. Let's go for the first understanding and understand what's exactly is the difference between intelligence and learning ability. I'll repeat it, intelligence and learning ability. When we talk about intelligence, it's basically the capacity, the overall capacity of an individual to learn, reason, problem solve, and adapt to the environment effectively. Now, adaptation to an environment effectively is not an instruction given by an external person. You learn from the surrounding and you know how to behave. You learn from the surrounding and you know how to dress up yourself. You try to imitate the common culture of the majority of the people in that particular that's adaptation. And this comes under the category of intelligence. This is not an instruction given by like you have come to my area, you better be like this. While there are instructions, but following them is a choice which is actually dominated by intelligence. Now, what do you mean by learning abilities? Learning abilities leads towards intelligence, something like that. Let's understand it. So, for example, learning abilities refer to the specific skills and processes involved in acquiring new knowledge and skills. It is a capacity to gain and apply knowledge through experience, study, or instruction. Now, this particular aspect of learning ability is a process. Intelligence is something like something which is constant, like you have this much of intelligence, and with the available intelligence you can keep on introspecting, questioning yourselves, and you can keep expanding your learning abilities. It's like that. So I know that there are multiple galaxies in the universe. That's my but the ability to understand that the place where I am present right now, that's called as Milky Way galaxy, and there are multiple stars out there. Let me understand about that, and for that I need to go to so and so person or the website. So intelligence and learning abilities go very close to each other, but they're very with a thin line of difference, they're different. Here when we talk about Howard Gardner, he doesn't talk really about intelligence to a large extent, though it is called as multiple intelligence. He focuses on the learning styles and abilities. Though it's called as multiple intelligences, he actually means to say that with different type of intelligence, the learners can be categorized into seven parts. I'll repeat it, seven parts. No, they are eight. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. So here in this case, you can quickly see this. We can understand what is the learning style that we all have with an activity in like in quick future. Intelligence provides an overall measure of cognitive capacity, learning abilities, focus on the specific process and skills involved in acquiring and applying knowledge. This is basically intelligence. Intelligence can contribute to one's capacity for effective learning, but learning abilities represent the practical application of cognitive skills in the process of acquiring new information and skills. Let's quickly go forward and understand this. So, Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence says this. Okay, I need to do this. Great. So he says that there are different type of learners, some who require a lot of exposure towards visual spatial learning, which is all about imagination, picturization, mind mapping, somebody who can form structures while somebody's talking about a certain topic. Then there is something called as linguistic and verbal, the people who are good with languages, who've got a lot of exposure towards words, and if the so these people are really good with understanding right words with right meaning. So there are a lot of times when the children in a particular subject, probably say maths or science, are not able to understand just because the teacher's language at that particular moment probably went wrong, something like that. These children really excel good in languages, something like that. Then there is something called as interpersonal, the ability of somebody to talk to others. So in this case, I would very strongly say teachers really have great level of interpersonal skills, because as a teacher, it's not just about talking to the fellow teachers and the principals. It's talking to nearly 35, 40 students in each and every minute of your classes. So interpersonal comes to be the next level. Next is there's something called as intrapersonal, the ability of somebody to talk to themselves. We'll have a detailed meaning in the forward slides. Then you've got logical, mathematical, somebody who can draw inferences and very good with observations. And there is something called as musical. So when we talk about interpersonal and linguistic and verbal, according to certain science and logic, they say both are, kind of overlapping. And that is why multiple intelligence theory cannot be applied everywhere. It's not practically even possible, something like that. Then there is something called as bodily kinesthetic. It's like I need to, keep walking while reading something, or I learn only with actions that involve my body physical movement. I can't have actions all the time, but it's the ability of a teacher to involve bodily kinesthetic activities even for an history class. If you can do that, then you are addressing even this type of learner in a particular class. Then there is something called as naturalistic. The students who are actually taken on the field. In engineering colleges, they call it as industrial visit. Or in schools, people prefer it to be educational visits, something like that. Taking the students to some real institute, or a factory, or somewhere where they can actually learn or look at things that are happening right in front of them, which is actually present in the book. So these are the eight type of intelligence that Howard Gardner was suggesting all about. And I would like to quickly play a small video on Dr. Howard Gardner speaking about it. So he wrote his first book called as Frames of Mind, and fantastic book from multiple intelligence theory point of view. A quick video on understanding the intelligence from his perspective. How did this idea actually come into picture? I'm playing the video. You should be able to hear in three, two, and one. Yeah, field trips, you're right.
I began to work simultaneously with children, normal kids, gifted kids, kids with learning problems, and with brain damaged adults, people who were once fine, but who had a stroke or a tumor or a missile accident. And the more I spent with working with these two populations, and it was important that I was seeing kids every day and brain damaged patients every day, the more I became convinced that kind of in a gut level that it was much too simple to say smart, average, dumb, that people could be very good in one thing, average in a second thing, and not very good in a third. That's an intuition which I'm sure has been had by millions of people over the years. I think I then did two things which were important academically. Number one, I set up a series of criteria to essentially define what the human faculties were. And then I decided, and I don't never remembered how it happened, but it was important to call these intelligences. If I'd written a book called 7 or 8 or 9 Talents, and said people can have different kinds of talents, everybody would say, what else is new? Because we know they're musicians, they're athletes, they're chess players, and so on. But it was the notion of saying there are 8 or 9 faculties. What we usually call smart is a conjunction of language and logic, but it doesn't say anything about spatial ability, about musical ability, about the capacity to solve problems using your hands or your body, about understanding other people, understanding yourself, being able to make distinctions in the natural world. Those are different faculties. And I think what sealed the deal in 1980 was we could find some neurological evidence that the language abilities came from one part of the brain, musical abilities from a second, and so on. So in the early 80s, I promulgated the theory of multiple intelligences, often called MI theory. You're kind to say it's universally adopted. I would say it's universally fretted about.
This excerpt is brought to you by the Massachusetts School of Law, the leader of reform in legal education and a leader in multimedia education for the public. To view the full
So that's basically Dr. Howard Gardner speaking about multiple intelligence theory. Now he says like if at all there's an evidence in neuroscience saying that the brain functions differently for different people.
I began to work simultaneously.
I'm sorry, different people, and it has got different access. Like it's like different neurons work on different, then it'll be great. But he clearly mentions that it's not the case. That's why many people believe that multiple intelligence theory cannot be attributed to neuroscience. In fact, it's called as a neuromyth. So we'll talk about that as well. Well, Howard Gardner's Frames of Mind is the first book on which he has mentioned about the multiple intelligence. And he talks about, you should read this book. He has talked about at least, I think, 24 samples. I mean, 24 students with whom he interacted and categorized this eight. More than that, but here in this book, they mentioned about it. A very good case study. It's still available on, I mean, it'll always be available on Amazon, so you can get that. Next comes eight intelligence, a quick reference and a revision of linguistic sensitivity to words, language, and communication. Example, writers, poets, they all come under this particular category. Logical, mathematical, analytical, and problem-solving skills. Example, scientists, engineers, and the people who have like certain data and they need to come to a conclusion. Next is spatial visual, the ability of a person to perceive things, visualize, manipulate patterns, that like example, artists, architects, and things like that. Now, bodily kinesthetic, control of physical movement and touch, example, dancers, athletes, musical sensitivity to rhythm, pitch, and sound, example, musicians, composers. Interpersonal is understanding and interacting with others, which is basically teachers or leaders or parents for that matter. Intrapersonal is something related to talking to yourself, which is self-awareness, reflection, like philosophers, psychologists. These people like to talk to themselves more than talking to the other people out there. Naturalist, recognizing patterns in nature, example, biologist, environmentalist. Then in 2003, there was another proposal on, there's another theory called as the ninth multiple intelligence, called as existential. Like sometimes you question about what happens after the death. Am I still alive? Will I be able to perceive things? What happens during the coma stage? Blah blah blah. All these are coming under the category of existential. Now, this is again a deep topic, and people talk about it. Now, I would like to stop the screen share and quickly, put across something very important. Now, when we speak about all these different types of learning, one of the important questions that must be running in all of us, all of our mind is: are these part of genetic capabilities? Is it like right from my birth, do I have these potentiality of learning things, or is it like acquired over the period of time? So that by according to Howard Gardner, it's very clear. It's like it completely depends on the exposure. They mean to say that if you come from a family where your parents are musicians, automatically your learning abilities of things would more fall under that particular category. If your parents are architects, and they have been working in the field of drawings or structures and things like that, you are going to be more like a spatial visual spatial kind of a person. So it's all about the exposure, not only from the school perspective and the teacher perspective, but also from the parent side. That is the reason most of the offsprings, I would say, the children, they try to get into the parents position. For example, in my case, my parents are teachers. Both of them are teachers. I've been exposed to education quite a lot in comparison to one of my friends whose parents are doctors. He became a doctor, and I am part of the education industry. So it's like once you choose the dominating aspect, obviously you'll go towards it. So there are some times when there is a question asked: does a carpenter's son has to be a carpenter all the time? Well, if he becomes a carpenter, he really has got great scope of shining in that field. So it's like you whatever domain you are interested in, whatever domain you have been exposed to the maximum, obviously the influence is going to be really high. That's the reason anytime you give an example in the class, it's very important for us to make sure that it's so highly differentiated that all the 40 children or 35 children in the class are able to grapple that. Yeah, let's quickly, hereditary doesn't really play, any role in that. It's purely because of the exposure. Now let us try to understand what kind of intelligence all of us possess over here. For that, I would like to share my screen, and this is how it looks like. And for this, it's an activity that I would like to request everybody to do if possible. So there is this website called as Very Well Mind, and it's all about clinical psychologist perspective on intelligence, metacognition, and things like that. And I'm going to click on the link, and this is how it is. I'm sharing the same link with all of you on the chat, teachers, and there's an activity over here. So I would like to click here. You can answer certain number of questions. While this is not absolutely true, while this is not absolutely correct, there are multiple websites from where you can identify what kind of intelligence is actually dominated in your brain. Now, for that, you need some time. But anyways, let's quickly go over here. So there is something called as the intelligence type test. And for this, here we go. So the first question is, you answer 10 questions and we'll try to come to a conclusion on what type of intelligence you are dominated with. What was your favorite subject or activity in school? Now, let me answer in my perspective. So, for me, my favorite subject was literature or foreign language, physical, obviously, physical philosophy. No, no, no. For me, literature was quite fame. Okay, I would go with literature. During your free time, you like to figure out complex problems, go for a run or a hike, read a book, meditate. Is there anyone who would like to meditate during your free time? Even if you like to sleep during free time, generally happens with the teachers, that's what we lack. So let's sleep for some time. You can select meditate, listen to music, paint, garden, do some volunteering, especially during the summer vacation. I think you would have come across a time where you're really bored. What do you actually choose? Well, during my free time, I go to listen to music. Let me click on that. So here in this case, let's go forward. Okay, you sleep, right? Okay. You sing a song. Do people sing a song? Which of these types of TV shows are you most likely to watch? Oh, this is interesting. This is interesting. Shows about space. Oh, I really love it. Nature documentaries. Oh, I love that too. I'm not really into TV. I'd rather do something hands-on. No, no, no. I'm into TV a lot. Foreign films or shows? No, doesn't really matter. I'm okay with anything. Then you have got dating shows. Definitely not. Anything that inspires me? Yeah, motivational. I love to watch. Singing competitions, no, this reality shows and all. If it is true, it's great. But for me, right now, I would choose anything that inspires me. Okay. Which of these are you most likely to do on your day off? Put together a puzzle. Puzzle. Yeah, I do that. Like mainly Sudoku or something like that. I keep playing. Okay, okay. Get in an extra workout. Nah, I am too lazy for that. Okay. Try a cool experiment I saw on YouTube. Yeah, I do that. Enjoy some quality time all alone. A lot. Head to a concert. Hota to jate, but it's very expensive these days. Catch up on my journal. As long as it's outside, I don't care what it is. Call up some. This is my favorite. Call up some friends to hang out and chat. Okay, I would select this. When you're trying to come up with ideas for a new project, you're most likely to find inspiration through, okay, through right now, ChatGPT, no doubt in that. Motivational speeches, great works of art. Oh, like that. Other people's perspective, the human body, rhythms and beats, charts and graphs, nature, my own intuition. I would prefer to go with nature. Inspiration, for me, most of the inspirations of an idea has always been through trees and flowers and whatnot. Nature. At a party, you're most likely to, chalo, somehow you got into a party, maybe a birthday party or a school farewell party, whatever it is, you've just got into it. Dance the night away? Not at all. Talk with friends if they come with me? Yes. Estimate the number of guests in attendance. Some people do that. How many people would have come? Okay, let's estimate 200 people have come. एक खाना अगर 400 भी पकड़ेंगे तो इतना खर्चा हुआ रहेगा. Something like that. Be the DJ? Not at all. Check out the house is decorated. Some people do that. Do some people watching. Wander outside to check out the landscaping. That means you're moving away. Network and connect friends to. Okay, not. So for me, it would be more like estimate the number, talk with friends. Talk with friends is the most appropriate for me. You're sitting in the dentist's office waiting for your appointment. How do you choose the pastime? Let us see. So, dentist office, get up and talk. No, take a walk if it takes too long. Sometimes check out the condition of the office plans. Estimate the bill. That I do. Put on my headphones and listen to Spotify, the best one. Start up a chat with the person next to me. Generally, I don't start, but if somebody starts, I don't stop. Daydream, doodle, read something from the magazine stand. See, interesting part about multiple intelligence is like you do all of these, but when you read one point, that will dominate you. So here in this case, put on my headphones and listen to Spotify is dominating. Maybe not Spotify, maybe GeoSour. That's okay. Yeah. You've been asked to participate in a community play. What role do you perform? Oh, it's a community play. That means it's something to organize it. I'm really, into organizing. I really love directing things. So say for example, treasurer, not at all. Prop manager, I'm good with that. Producer, nahi, paisa nahi hai. Lead performer, kind of. Sound designer, pretty well. Script writer, oh, really good at it. Set design, very much interested. Director is the most appropriate for me. So I'll go with director. Okay. Which of the following games do you excel at the most? Okay, let's go with that. He said, she said. Okay, that's a good game, but not into it. Pictionary. Charades, dumb charades. I think charades is something very interesting. Sudoku. Okay. Geocaching. Uh, taboo. Magic tricks. Name that tune. Oh, name that tune. I'll go with name that tune. It's like friends hum a tune and you need to find out which movie it is from, or at least which song is it. I think it is basically. So I do that. You have a big test tomorrow and need to review the material. What study method do you use? You have a big test tomorrow and need to review the material. Okay, it's more like revision sort of a thing, right? Study in the park. I like to do that. Use a highlighter for important notes. No, not right now. I would have already done that. Take a regular breaks to move around, help me refocus. Oh, that I do. I make up a song about what I'm learning. How many of you do this? I do that a lot. Some sort of an acronym or something to remember a series or something like that. Reread the textbook? No, I don't do that. Create an outline and rank items by importance. So basically questions, not much. Relate the information to my own life, not at this time. Form a study group, not at this time. So I'd go and prefer to take regular breaks to move around and help me refocus. So the moment I click on this, skip and show my results. I click on this. I hope singing competition. 1 second. Where is it? Why am I not able to see this? Got it. Your result is musical intelligence. Oh my God, never knew that. You see the world in patterns, rhythms, and sounds. You have a strong appreciation for music and have a knack of performance. Whether you're singing or playing an instrument. Oh, they are smart. I play keyboard. Whether your results are eye-opening or unsurprising, you are probably interested in learning more about how your musical nature impacts your life and relationship. And that's why when my wife scolds me, I sing a song. Oh, now it makes sense. The following resources provide some more insight as well as a look at the other type of intelligence and more. Your results are not the end all or be all, and it's important to remember that no intelligence style is better than the other. Yeah, exactly. That's something very important. They are just different and don't fully represent how smart you are or even how you prefer to learn. Consider your result as a fun way to think about your strength and weaknesses and the kinds of things you are interested in. That's it. It's just a little bit of self-awareness. If anybody has done this, I would request you to please put on the chat what type of a person you are. What type of a person you are. You can put it on the chat. Like, are you a musical person or an intrapersonal or an interpersonal? You can put that over there. I mean, if you've clicked on this link, okay, run away immediately. It's really nice. Okay. Intrapersonal. Preeta ma'am, you keep keep quite a lot, I guess. Indu Sharma definitely must be a PT teacher, at least a teacher who's teaching pre-primary and primary classes. Could be similar to Nandita or somebody like that. Okay, Vaishnavi is also musical. Verbal Hindu, Vandana ma'am, you must be an English teacher, for example. I'm just randomly guessing. Okay, Bindu ma'am, naturalist. Okay, science teacher. You didn't get the answer. Okay, you need to start again. Click on that. Okay, bodily kinesthetic. Okay, computer science. Obviously, you need to dance. Interpersonal intelligence, bodily kinesthetic, ecstatic, blah, 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 blah. Oh, very good, very good. I've got Satya Sai Prasad, interpersonal. Interpersonal is something very common for a teacher. I mean, when you get into this test and when you try to answer these questions, you'll find that mostly you will come under interpersonal. Teachers, so basically all of them are part of an intelligence in our case. It's just that we need to be a little extra aware about what dominates us. And interestingly, there are some theories very nicely suggesting that the domination of a certain type of intelligence is influenced by the environment as well. So it's like if I'm there in the school, I'm really good with interpersonal skills. If I'm there at home, I'm mostly intrapersonal. I don't really talk. I keep it to myself, something like that. So what really matters is, the realization that it's not one intelligence. It could be multiple of them, and all of them are present within us. But for every moment, one or the other thing will dominate. So multiple intelligence theory is not exhaustive. That means it's not like this particular person is bodily kinesthetic learner, so we have to always do that. No. And this aspect of learning heavily comes from the teacher as well. So like the way the teacher talks, if a teacher is more oriented towards dancing in the class and nicely narrating things with tunes and rhymes, obviously the children are going to get interested in musical, right? So then there's going to be a time when they're like, the other teacher should also teach something like this. All of them. There are times when we can completely say that this whole class, because of so-and-so teacher teaching over here, is spatial learners dominated, something like that. Let's quickly get on with the next one. And this is going to be quite interesting. And for this, I would like to share my screen once again. And can you see this? Can you see this? Yes, you'll be able to see this. Okay, 3, 2, and 1. So critics of multiple intelligence theory. Some people say that it's right. Some people say it's wrong. So like lack of empirical evidence. Empirical, something that you've done in the class, something that proves that this is a common statement, a logical statement that is applicable everywhere. No, that was never done. Limited scientific data, general intelligence. Now this is very important. There's something called as G factor and S factor. G factor intelligence actually means general intelligence, and S factor is basically specific intelligence. We'll talk about it in the following slides. There is something called as overlaps. Now here in multiple intelligence theory, you can see that linguistic and interpersonal come over each other. That means the person who's really good with languages has got great interpersonal skills. Obviously, right? If I'm able to talk really well in Hindi, so I'll be able to talk to the students really well because I know their language, and that's what applies to Kannada or Malayalam or Tamil. So it's like language becomes a tool over here for having better interpersonal skills. So you can't say that these two are different. So that means somewhere they are overlapping. That's a very good point, right? So you can't be completely sure about multiple intelligence theory. You very clearly, prove that they cannot be distinct completely. So risk of misapplication. What happens is sometimes the students get categorized. In fact, all of us got categorized just now. That means I am a musical learner. Now, the moment I get into that particular point, obviously my mentality would keep on trying to find ways to learn things musically, and I would avoid visual spatial learner. What if I was actually good with that and the computer was wrong? Or the clinical psychologist who examined me was wrong. So you can't be sure about it. That's why they call it as risk of misapplication. So labeling students, example, musical learner, can limit potential or stereotype them. Even if not the public, they themselves will do that. Don't you agree with me? Cultural bias. Multiple intelligence will reflect in Western individualism, less emphasis on collectivist values. Now, Sternberg actually spoke about it. I'm going to show that to you eventually. There are times when people actually mention that, for example, in Western culture, it is more on taking actions by yourself. Like, uh, I need to be safe. I need to take care of things on my own. In fact, the children over there, right in their high school, probably right after, I would say 13, 14 years of age, they start living their life on their own. High school students, something like that. And they've got, complete authority and freedom to do things. That's completely important from confidence standpoint in future. However, that's not the case in India. Here it is completely collectivism. It's like we all need to go together. Like, even if I know that I need to take care of myself, I need to ensure that the friends and family who are around me, I need to take care of them as well. That's called as collectivism. So individualism and collectivism is a very broad term, which we spoke, I think, even in theory of knowledge, if I'm not wrong. And it talks about the methodology of learning. So there'll be a cultural bias if you get into one type of learning. Let's understand this in detail. In fact, there are some people who even mention that multiple intelligence theory is a neuromyth. So basically, a neuromyth is a commonly accepted but unscientific claim about brain function. Like, this is how the brain works. There is no scientific evidence. No doctors mentioned about it. No neurosurgeon actually opened the brain and saw that this is how it functions. So that's why it's very difficult to comprehend things or comprehend studies related to the brain. We think heart is the most complex structure, and studying about that is very difficult. At least there's an algorithm over there. It's like this is how it works. But brain is not like that. It's even now the research is not even 10-15% complete. It's very difficult for somebody to even say that we've utilized the complete percent of brains. There are some people who mention that there are some theories which very nicely state that so far human beings have utilized only 4% of their brain capacity. But then there are some theories saying that that's rubbish. There's nothing called as 4% of brain capacity. There's this, like, it's 100% capacity, and you're using the 100% of the brain. It's like that. So there are so multiple theories. The point is, when we get into neuro level of understanding of topics like multiple intelligence, you can't really come to a conclusion. So labeling a school this to be a multiple intelligence school is not at all wrong. But somewhere somebody can very strongly say that it's not right as well. That's a very nice point, I believe. So if you continue further, I would talk about few more intelligence theories which contradict multiple intelligence theory. For example, there is this guy called as Spearman. Spearman's two-factor theory very clearly states that we've got only two types of intelligence. One is called as the G factor, another one is called as S factor. G factor represents general intelligence, which is all about influencing the performance on various cognitive tasks and specific abilities that are unique to a particular task. So that means I know quite a lot of things. I'm a jack of all trades, but I'm master of one or two or three. That's called a specific S factor. So what's your S factor? If somebody asks you, then that person will talk about the things that they are most interested in. So for me, what's my S factor? I like to talk a lot. That's my S factor. That is specific. I really like to do training. I really like to listen to people. Something related to interpersonal, something like that. But G factor is general intelligence, which would be like I like to go to school. I like to walk to the hospital. It's like by default you have to do it. That's called G factor. Now, when you go to Cattell's theory of fluent crystallized intelligence, this is quite from age point of view, this fellow wrote something called as fluid intelligence, the ability to think and reason abstractly, and crystallized intelligence, knowledge and skills acquired through experience and education. So it's like with age comes wisdom. They say that, right? That's crystallized intelligence. You have already deduced a lot of things. If you do things like this, the outcome is going to be like that only. So how did you know that like that only? It's because of experience. That comes under crystallized intelligence. Fluid intelligence tends to decline with age, ability to learn, ability to mug up, ability to remember. All these things are fluid intelligence. This is by Kettle. Then this Binet-Simon intelligence, a very important intelligence theory, which marked the beginning of IQ test. So basically, Alfred Binet and Theodore Simon developed the first intelligence test in the early 20th century. Their approach focused on assessing a child's mental age compared to their chronological age. This laid the foundation of modern IQ testing. Yeah. Then you have got triarchic theory of intelligence. This is Sternberg. He actually mentioned that the intelligence can be divided into three areas: analytical intelligence, which is all about problem solving; creative intelligence, which is all about to create something new; practical intelligence, adaptability to the environment. An interesting part about this particular theory is that all of these cannot be inculcated with single instruction. It happens only through period of time and keeps on growing. So that's a very good point. We need to learn in detail about Robert Sternberg. It'll give a very good perspective. Then finally, emotional intelligence is Daniel Goleman. We spoke about it in one of the session where we talked about EQ, and we'll touch upon that a little later. You remember we spoke about the movie Inside Out in one of the sessions. There we spoke about Daniel Goleman's, the basic, I think, 6 emotions: happy, sad, disgust, angry, and yeah, all those things. Yeah, 5 or 6, I don't remember. So Daniel Goleman spoke about emotional intelligence as an important factor, which drives the intellectual intelligence. It's a very nice theory. Then again, Sternberg spoke about something related to successful intelligence, which involves somebody's ability to set a goal and reach towards it, where motivation comes into play, where enthusiasm comes into play. All these emotional aspects, which is very close to Daniel Goleman, was not mentioned by anybody else. But Sternberg mentioned that. I think it was in early 2000s. Then the past theory, which is all about planning, attention, simultaneous, successive, by J.P. Das. Basically, this was about the process of intelligence. Not widely accepted, to be frank, but widely accepted are Robert Sternberg, Daniel Goleman. Then we have got Spearman, Cattell, and Binet-Simon, and triarchic theory of Robert Smith. So these are the people. Other people we did not even mention about it. I think if anybody's doing psychology, I think you would have heard these terms quite often in your studies. Anyways, coming to the last point of the class. Now that we have understood that there are different type of intelligence, now that we understood that we can't really categorize somebody under one category, we have even understood that whatever we are learning, if it is true or not, that also we do not know. So somewhere it is very important for us to make sure that as a teacher, we give different types of instruction to the class. So people call that as differentiated pedagogy or differentiated instruction. I would like to play a small video to give a synapse on what it is all about. I would like to request you to please watch this and you'll get a complete understanding. So here we go.
Look at all these great volunteers. Go ahead. Yes, nice job. So the impact of differentiation, the students feel successful. They feel supported. They know if something is difficult for them, there's something that's a little more in line with their strengths coming up soon. So it really makes education fun and approachable. I really think it's the most effective way that I have seen to teach.
The vision and the mission of Highlander is to use innovative practice as a social catalyst. We want our kids to be able to do anything any other kid from Providence could do.
We use differentiation all across the curriculum here at Highlander, and especially in the first grade. Although the content is the same, having the stations really allows me to tailor my lessons to each individual group of learners. So how the differentiation looks in my classroom, we start off with a whole group lesson. So let's get our reading glasses on. Let's get the letter part of our brains activated. This section of our curriculum, we have been looking at non-fiction texts. When we're looking at our book today, we're going to be thinking about where we can get information. And then in the phonics realm, we focused on contractions.
We're taking two words, and what are we sticking them together with?
Apostrophe.
Yes, Karen. Good
And then we break off into our small groups. So our yellow group is still learning how to do a lot of our literacy things. The green group is doing pretty well, but has a few things to work on still. And our blue group is hitting all the first grade standards and needs to be stretched. So our differentiation kind of takes two forms. The first is by student grouping, and the second is by modality of learning. We have 20 minutes per station, and there are 3 of the stations. The students will rotate through all 3 stations each day.
So our first station for the blue group is the computer station.
The students use a Google form to check in. They'll normally watch a video or carefully observe a photograph and answer some questions about that.
We watched a video about how to grow a seed. We had to type in our favorite part and why.
After they finish that form, they can check out an ebook.
And then you could do this game of reading called Teacher Must Know How to Read.
We're delivering things in a way that is visual, that is auditory, that is individual to the students through the technology.
After that, she rings the bell.
Clean up, switch up, first grade readers.
We switch to the sort station.
Our sort station is more of a physical modality. They're using their bodies, which is so important for first graders. They need to move. Kids are cutting out the words, they're gluing them down.
We had a contraction game. It's fun because it's all mixed up and you had to find the right pieces. And then after we do that, we do rainbow writing.
That's another way that we differentiate. If students are able to get through more work, then they have some freedom of choice.
Clean it up, switch it up.
The last station, we're talking to each other and learning from each other. So that's more of the social interaction type of modality.
I like the teacher station the most because we get to be with Miss Gallagher and we get to learn cool stuff.
So take a look at the illustrations on this page, right? And
The content is the same, but it can be differentiated in a number of ways. My blue group, for example, they know what text is. They know what illustrations are. And so for them, I create a Venn diagram.
You need to make one circle like this and then you make another circle overlapping that.
Oh,
For the yellow or the green group, I'm just leaving the Venn diagram out of it. We're still doing essentially the same thing, but just that piece that might be confusing to some of those students, I just leave that out for a later time. They'll get to it.
all right, so clean up and meet me in the middle of the rug for writing. Nice work, first grade.
Being able to move through those stations, it's just another level of helping the students learn as much as they can each year. They really feel excited when they make that growth.
They're proud of themselves. They feel like they're effective learners. As a teacher, honestly, it is a lot of work, but the results that you see in the happy faces of the kids and the good feeling that you have in the classroom is worth it.
So Edutopia is one of the channels which heavily works on education, basically, of course, but working with schools, various schools in the States, and they really make good documentaries like this in a very short span of time. Most of the teachers out there very nicely mentioned about that these things work properly in the junior classes, but not really in the senior classes. One important thing that we need to understand is when we talk about foundational stage or preparatory stage, and then talk about the middle and the secondary. Each age category has got its own thought process, the behavior. Middle stage is the time when they self-explore their capabilities, like sixth standard, seventh standard students. And right after eighth standard, they are more into their self identification. What am I powerful about? What is my strength? And there it is about external validation. It's the adolescent age. So based on that category, the activities has to be differentiated. For example, when we talk about station rotation over here, it was all about the teacher asking the students to go to different types of learning. one group sits on the laptop with their headphones, learning by themselves, while the other group is actually experimenting things with the teacher. And the other group is completely on hands-on in a team, something like that. You can create your own stations. Now, that in a higher class could be something like a group of students are divided for a project-based learning, and everything is self-directed. Everything is self-directed. So probably the time is 1 week, and the topic given to them is matured enough to, learn something. So I think, irrespective of the age category or the classes, the project work is one of the most fascinating thing, or the station rotation is one of the most fascinating thing for a student. When I did my engineering, I used to feel like before getting into it, I'll be always there in the lab, working on with big machines and see how they function. And I would also get to know about how to make a machine on your own, things like. But the moment I got into engineering and I came out, I didn't even know how to change a tube light. No, that's my incompetency. It's not about engineering subject as such. It's still a good subject and there are good quality content out there. But somewhere that was not dominated with the right teaching as well. So it's important for us to get the exposure with the right teacher, right lab setup, right environment. That's what we're trying to conclude over here. So multiple intelligence theory is something to just know about, but not really something to stick about. Knowing that will give us an idea that there are 8 types of learners in the class as per Dr. Howard Gardner, and it can really help us plan our lesson plans. Doesn't really mean that we stereotype students at a certain category. That's a quite a different take on multiple intelligence theory in today's session, according to me. So that brings me to the end of the session today, teachers. It was great interacting with one and all. I hope you got a decent understanding on what exactly multiple intelligence theory is. Our team will be putting the reflection form right on the chat right away. You can click on it, requesting you to please fill up the reflection form today itself before 12 o'clock. And I would request you to please score more than 7 out of 10 for you to get your certificates in 10 days time. Most probably by the weekend, you would be getting it. There have been certain delays in giving the reflection form in the past, considering my non-availability in the office. I was on a leave for some time. But right now, I think you should be getting it. You should be getting it. If you're not getting it, please mail it to swati@superteacher.in or rajesh@superteacher.in. Yeah, great interacting with one and all teachers. Thank you so much for joining every Sunday consistently and to learn something new about education, especially from Indian perspectives and understanding what's happening at global level. I think you need to choose one area to keep yourself upgraded and upskilled. I think Super Teacher platform of Super Sunday Workshop could be one of them, just one of them. Thank you so much. I'll meet you again in the next Super Sunday Workshop with an interesting topic relevant to this time of the academic year. I think it's beginning in many parts of the country, so we'll make sure that something very relevant comes into picture. Until then, bye everyone and Jai Hind. Thank you. Thank you so much, teacher. Reflection forms are coming in the chat. Snehal ma'am, thank you. Bindu ma'am, thank you so much. Thank you, Vandana ma'am, Shweta ma'am. Thank you, Nisha ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, Sunita ma'am. One of the highly motivating factors for me to be there on every Sunday. Thank you so much, everyone. Ramya ma'am, thank you. Sridevi ma'am, thank you. Sachin sir, thank you. Thank you, Beati ma'am. Thank you, Satya Sai sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sudhira ma'am. Thank you, Anita ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, Prasanna ma'am. Shraddha ma'am, you can mail Swati. If you've not done the reflection form, then it is difficult to get the certificate, ma'am, because it's software developed. Thank you, Anjula ma'am. Anjulata ma'am, thank you so much. Thank you, Halima ma'am. Great. Anupama ma'am, probably you would have clicked the previous link, ma'am. Check the message once more, but I think you got in somehow, right? Thank you, Rabia ma'am. Thank you so much. So what to do exactly? Just widen your teaching. That's it. Broaden your teaching. Super Sunday workshop, end of the day, I think that's the only objective. Just get broad-minded. That's it. There's no specific, intention. That's it. Just get broad-minded. Because if you get broad-minded with teaching, everything falls into place. Yes, just just widen your thoughts. Sure, Satyasai sir, we'll talk about it. We can do that. Okay, Preeta ma'am, let's try that. Thank you, Gagandeep ma'am. Thank you, Debasmita ma'am. So I'd like to close. We'll definitely have an exclusive session on higher grades. There was one session on adolescent teaching, I think. We'll touch upon that. There's no specific strategies as such that of course there are a lot of them. There are a lot of them. But somewhere I very strongly believe that knowing a lot of theories it is an advantage to enhance our existing way of teaching. So pedagogy is a very complex aspect. Like you can't really copy things. Every teacher might have their own style, but that style should not be replaced with another inspiring style. I hope you get to understand. Maybe whatever is inspiring can be adapted a little bit here and there in your style. So when we talk about a particular strategy, it becomes very difficult. When you try to copy that. Copy that in the sense when you try to imitate that. I used to fail so many times. Edutopia, you're right, Prasanna. You're right, Prasanna. Sure, sure. Early childhood care and education is going to be most probably the next session. I need to check with my team. Okay, Chaitanya, you're absolutely correct. It's more difficult for the parents than the students. Okay. So let's meet again in the next Super Sunday workshop, teachers. Until then, have a Super Sunday. Spend time with your family, teachers. I'll meet you again in the next Super Sunday workshop. It's going to be 115th. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much and bye, everyone.